Adventure Brothers podcast. I'm your host, as always, Brian Dress, and with me, as always, is Nick, the man from down under Friedemann.
All right.
It's a joke because you're in Canada.
Yes.
Oh, I get it now.
It was so obvious.
Yeah, on second thought, you're totally right.
And Graham, Marilyn Manson Mason.
Oh my god. Yeah. Hello. Here I am.
You're not going to believe that I have some of these written down now, so I don't have to come up with them on the spot, are you?
Do you? Wow.
Oh, man. To think, we have so many more seasons of this show to go through, and I have to come up with new ones every time.
Yep.
This is exhausting.
I'm tired.
Speaking of exhausting, just so the listeners are aware, I am holding my baby boy while recording this right now until his mom can come back and pick him up. So there might be a little bit of an interruption. I'll try to edit out, but it might not be possible. Yeah, so that's that. Corin, say hi. He said hi, you just couldn't hear it. I debated on taking his binky out of his mouth, but that would just be cruel.
Yes.
Yeah, let's not.
I want to record his crying. Yay!
I think you'll be able to remember it for a lifetime.
Oh, I have nightmares filled with it. In a good way. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we did it, guys. We finished a whole season of this show. Can you believe it? Can you believe it?
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was what we set out to do, and then keep going. So
yeah, just 6 more to go.
Yeah, perfect.
Episodes?
Yep.
Yeah, it happened dramatically. It really cuts down fast.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
You should. But as of today, today being this Sunday that we are recording, the 3rd episode of Season 7 is coming out, and I am the only one on this show that is up to date because I have told these two guys to wait till all 3 are out because it's a trilogy, and I think they'd have more fun watching them in one go. And I'm going to do my best not to spoil anything for them moving forward, but after that we will all get up to date and not try to spoil anything for you. I know I mentioned it once in an episode before here. Like, I'm not in this to ruin the show for anybody. But if there is anything that gets, like, severely answered, much like some questions have, I don't want to ruin them in case anybody does not have the capabilities to watch it and they have to wait for DVD or something like that. But if there is an answer, I will more so just acknowledge, like, oh yeah, and then that comes up again in Season 7. And that's kind of, we had a very long conversation, what we all somewhat agreed at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
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 Yes.
But for those of you who have kept up to date, it's pretty good, right? Right?
Brian's talking to himself.
Thanks.
I love it.
Thanks, jerk.
Yeah. It's real good stuff.
Yeah. Does Corin like it?
Corin does not like it because I watched it after I put him to bed. And he's like, what the hell, man? I want to watch this show.
From the end. Backwards.
From the end. I wanna see where it ends and then go back to the beginning. I'm weird like that.
Memento style.
I'm going to stop making fun of my son. He's just staring at a microphone. Like, what the hell is that?
Is that stealing my soul?
Yes. Yes, it is. Sorry. Okay, so I think we should get started. The last episode of Season 1, Return to Spider Skull Island. Oh, no. Somebody doesn't want to return. I've made Graham and Nick do all the breakdowns so far, so I will do this one. Just a really quick synopsis of what happens.
Sure. That's a word.
I might have to take a break. Okay, so, synopsis. I have killed my baby. He is no longer with us. That's really dark. I just gave him back to his mom. Alright, so, beginning of this episode, the boys and the family are coming back from a Rocky Horror Picture Show screening, I assume. They don't really say. And Dr. Venture's stomach goes, I have a baby in me. And by baby, I mean little tiny man, a.k.a. your twin brother that you ate in utero. They remove him as a tumor and find out that he's not a tumor, and he runs away. He spends the rest of the episode attempting to kill Dr. Venture because he had to spend his life inside of him and seeing what a horrible scientist he is. At the end of it, they kind of come to a somewhat agreement of, you can have this stuff because your life sucked. I will keep this stuff, and they kind of end as friends. Meanwhile, the boys decide that they are going to strike out on their own because they won't have a little brother. Because no, thank you. Dad will only take care of that guy because he's so good at taking care of kids. He's definitely going to take care of this one. And they light out on their own on their hover bikes. Dr. Orpheus, who's in charge of watching them, doesn't want to embarrass them, so he just kind of watches from afar to make sure that they're okay. There's an odd Homeboy reference. Do you guys remember Homeboys? I didn't until this episode.
Yep.
The boys get arrested, they get bailed out, and on their way... when they get arrested, they run into the Monarch, who's in jail, and he's like, I kind of put a hit out on you. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. I don't even know why you're still alive, but whatever. The boys get out of jail, and on their way home, they find out the Monarch had definitely put a hit out on them. Although the wonderful henchman didn't even realize that they were finishing their job, as 2124 asked them for directions and how to turn on their gun, or how to find ammo for their gun, and blow them to smithereens. And the boys die. And 2 angels are lost. And it's a very touching moment. And then you sit through the credits, and mysteriously, Dr. Venture seems pretty cool with this whole thing. And he says, all right, get their clothes. And I was like, why does he want their clothes? I guess we'll have to wait for a eventual season 2, which, lo and behold, they didn't think they were going to get, which is kind of fun.
Shocker.
Yeah, who would
This
have thought?
episode doesn't feel like a weird sort of like, all right, we'll just close this book then.
Yeah.
And
It is
goodbye
such a-
forever, I guess.
Yeah, what do you guys think? Are you guys fans of this episode? Hate this episode? Love it?
Kind of both.
Yeah, it's mixed.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on in this episode.
There's so much going on in this episode.
There's a lot of questions. I basically wrote down a ton of questions, some of which I Googled. The most pressing of which is, what's a Moxie tonic? I had no idea. I still don't.
Every time I get to that scene, I'm like, what?
Is that?
Moxie.
Did you find an answer?
No, I'm gonna look it up right now.
I think it. I think it's just a fancy way of saying like a suicide.
What?
Maybe.
Yeah, so it's just like, like a suicide soda, like how you'd go to the fountain when you're a kid, and then you'd get a little bit of Sprite, a little bit of Coke.
It's a brand.
A little bit of Cherry Coke. Oh, it's a brand.
What the fuck is this?
It's a weird guy looking at us and like pointing, like, you will drink Moxie. Cream soda.
Oh, okay.
Oh, this is weird.
He
This
would.
is the most old-fashioned shit I've ever seen in my life.
Moxie nerve food.
Ugh. Okay, so
All right, there you go.
So
wow, who
of
knew
course,
that Dr. O...
Of course Dr. O is the one who orders that, right?
Yes.
Of course.
Yes.
It does fit his character. It didn't feel out of place in watching it.
No.
When he
But
chooses
one of the-
when he chooses grape, that was a little odd because everybody would choose orange, obviously, but I guess he would choose grape.
I would have gone
Yes.
cola.
Yeah, I would have just gone straight regular cola.
As a
Yeah.
necromancer, no.
I'm not a
Yeah.
necromancer. You said everyone.
Yeah.
I mean,
Eat your words, sir.
Yeah, but the grape does go well with his whole, like, ensemble.
That's
the
true.
orange might clash with his
That's
blue
true.
blazer or whatever he's wearing.
That's true.
Windbreaker?
windbreaker.
His
Yeah.
blue windbreaker.
Ugh, great. But there's a lot of stuff happening in this episode. Like, I remember the beats of this episode, like, pretty well. Like, in watching it, I was like, oh, yeah, right. Like, unlike some of the other episodes, I do remember a fair amount. But there's some stuff like the John Woo references,
Yeah.
the Easy Rider references.
Yeah.
But what the fuck happened at that theater? I looked it up and I did find an answer, but it really threw me off because I was like, the episode starts off with a weird 911 call that doesn't seem to. I have no idea where that came from.
It was a quick attempt to fix like a cut scene.
Yes, which is what I found out.
Yeah. So that's pretty much. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I guess. There's a lot of... I think that's kind of as much as I really do enjoy this episode. And I honestly do. Like, I think it's a lot of... I think it's a lot of fun. But you can kind of see, like, if they never got another season, I don't think they would have been surprised.
Yeah.
Like, even with the, all right, get their clothes. Like, they're just basically leaving the seeds. Like, if we do get a season 2, like, we've hinted at clones, we've hinted at this. Like, we have the groundwork to make another season. But it also kind of, it's an ending, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Not
it's like left
great
open.
ending.
Yeah, it's left open enough to it's like, all right, if we come back, we come back. If not, then they died, and it's over.
Pretty much.
Yeah, it's just kind of... Yeah.
It's interesting to also sum up because we kind of danced over it. That what ends up happening, I guess, in the deleted scene, is that they get called to that theater to investigate it. It turns out to be the Scooby-Doo thing, which they reference later, which is the ripping off the mask exactly. And then during that whole thing, Brok basically goes apeshit and hurts a bunch of people.
Yeah.
So that's why they're all at the hospital.
Yeah.
Is because Brok basically just loses his mind again and just goes crazy. So that makes sense as to why all the people are at the hospital. In watching it, I had no idea. I thought that somebody had poisoned the people at the theater.
Yeah, because they're all like grabbing their stomachs and stuff.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. And it's like, it took me... Honestly, it took me till this viewing and looking into it because I want to talk about it. I'm like, wait, what the fuck actually happened?
Yeah.
And
so I thought it was like another like weird attempt where there were too many villains at one place again, and because they all kind of botched each other, and then Brok just went apeshit. So yeah, I thought somebody like poisoned the popcorn or something like that at the viewing, and then the guy was trying to haunt the theater at the same time, and then it just went crazy from there. But yeah, now it makes more sense to where Brok just hurt a bunch of people. But
yeah.
I mean, for the three of us, and Brok, our writer, too, to watch it however many times each of us have, to then finally come to our final viewing before this podcast.
Yeah.
To come to the conclusion that it was basically just Brok going apeshit after one. That's not great writing. Or at least something missing. Something large enough missing that isn't.
Well, I think it's that whole, like... Even like again, thanks to Brok for our notes, but like the episode ran very long originally, and they had to cut a ton of stuff out. And when you have something like, as dense as this episode is, and you start nipping and tucking, like you have those problems. And like, I mean, no offense to the show, obviously I love it, but when you've seen something 1.5 million times, you start forgetting that everybody else hasn't.
Yeah.
So you can do these nips and tucks and go like, oh, I can make the logical jump that Brok beat the shit out of the theater because it's Brok, and I've seen this so many times with all the stuff in there. But we haven't, and like as much as we know Brok is a violent, crazy fucker, we don't always make the assumption that he killed everyone. I mean, I guess maybe we should, but
well,
you know what I mean?
One of those. No, 100%. It is one of those things where I looked that up last night on the first viewing, and I watched it again this morning because I was like, this is what I usually end up doing. And I was like, well, what else? Like, watching it the first time, I was kind of like, had no idea that was the case. Looked it up afterwards. Watching it the second time, knowing that, it was like, what can you cut? And the answer is really not a lot. Like, if you were like, gun to your head, which scenes do you cut down? The only thing I can think of is the scene in the diner with the rednecks, which really only saves you, if I had to guess, 20, maybe 30 seconds of time, which is not enough.
No, not at all. And it is, like, it kind of, it's, I like that moment. I like that he traps 2 redneck souls in a little homeboy. Like, I enjoy this stuff.
Does...
Go ahead.
Again... You know, not to lead too much forward, but it does kind of go with Dr. Orpheus. Like, we know that he's a necromancer, and we know that he's, you know, has some powers, but to, I guess, kind of lean forward into season 2 to allude to his powers as being able to lock two souls into a homeboy, to have that solidified definitely helps to be like, oh no, he's not just some crazed, failed, air quotes, necromancer. No, he actually has some real power. He just is dumb.
We've seen that he's had real power the whole time. I think this is just the first time we see like his legit necromancing powers come into play.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, we've seen him affect people's minds and stuff and think that he's made out of snakes.
Yes.
Yes.
Meanwhile, getting shot in the stomach.
But I do wish that, like, this is one of those things where, like, obviously Cartoon Network Adult Swim didn't know what they had on their hands when they're airing season 1. So, like, it's one of those things, like, I wish they could see the show now and the fan base now and how it's still this hugely popular thing and just known, let's just give them a 45-minute episode finale. Like, it's a season finale. Let's let them do it. And, like,
right.
I would have no problems with this episode. Because this episode, like...
And even to think a 45-minute episode would, on actual airtime would be like another 10 minutes of what this was. Like 32 or 33 minutes, which I think would be plenty of time to kind of tie up all the other ends.
Yeah, definitely. And it's not like Adult Swim didn't have a shit ton of 15-minute shows.
Yeah, right?
Like, they had that time slot already kind of designed.
Put a Harvey Birdman in there.
Yeah. Yeah, anything. Like Aqua Teen Hunger Force. Like, any of that stuff fits.
Squidbillies. Anything.
Yeah, we can keep naming them.
Let's go.
But, like, Brok, our note taker, even, like, his thoughts, which you can see on our website, athpod.com, where we always show his review at the end of these things, like, he is not alone in thinking that this episode's terribly emotional. And, like, I know a lot of people are like, the first time I saw it, I was like, I can't believe they killed the boys. Like, oh my God. And I'm just such a stick in the mud that I'm like, yeah, but the episode just kind of feels a little janky, so it never really hit me that hard.
Yeah.
Well, I also want to throw this out there. I think all of us started, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'll speak for myself, but I started the show in really season 2. So for me, the emotional impact of that end of season 1 doesn't make sense because we are dancing around what happens to the boys. We have established that they die.
Yeah.
But very clearly the show continues. So it becomes an issue of like, how does the show continue? Does it continue without them? Does it continue with them? Blah, blah. But the show does go on. So for us, if you start where... I'm pretty sure where I started in season 2 is my first episode. It was like, oh, well, something happens.
Yeah.
In general. I'm just going to say something happens in general.
Yeah.
So the impact for me doesn't land as hard.
And even to know, so if you're watching this show as it's airing,
yes,
and in the between time waiting for season 2 to come out, and this was your only experience of it, and then it just ends like this, then yes, I can see how the impact would be pretty intense. But even if there is a second season and then a third season already out, even if you haven't seen them, but just to know that it does continue, I think means a big difference of like, oh, okay, well, yeah, like you said, something does happen, so it's not really an ending as so much as just a pause until the next season starts.
Yeah, because I didn't watch anything in season 2 before I'd finished season 1, so like I got to this point somewhat organically. I'd seen episodes in season 1, but then went through the whole thing till I got to the ending. Yeah. But still knowing that there is a season 2 with the Venture Brothers in it, it really undercuts this ending. So maybe that's why the people who saw it for the first time had that emotional punch to it. Like, without that knowledge, it definitely is different, for sure.
For sure. And I will say that, like you were saying, and like Brok is saying, it is emotional. Like, if you didn't have that in, you're like, holy shit. And it does, it comes way out of left field. Although you can kind of see it, like, once the sequence where they do die, where, like, 24 is leaning out the window with a gun, you're kind of like, I think something bad's about to happen, and then it does. But then it just, like, all of a sudden, like, immediately cuts to a credit sequence, and then,
way over dramatic song, and...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're just like, what the fuck is this? Like, if I was watching it the first time, I would have that kind of like shocked, sort of emotional, resonant impact. And, unfortunately, I didn't have that because of where I started in the show, but I can see how that would be.
Yeah. And what's actually kind of funny, so I was watching this again on my Hulu app, and as the sequences are now, right, so I have, right, like you said, it just happens so quick. Like, he leans out the car with the gun, and then, hey, where can I get ammo? And then bam, bam, and then credit sequence, song, and then cut, black. And then already the screen goes smaller, and I have season 2, episode 1 already coming up in 8 seconds. And so for me, that moment of, whoa, what just happened is way less dramatic. You're like, whoa, season 2. Cool.
Yeah, definitely. And the thing with, like, season 2, like, we'll get into it next week, but they do a great job trying to cash in on this ending very well.
Yeah.
So, it's... So at least, like, it's not like a lost... Say, like, CW does this all the time, if you're a CW fan. Like, they do, like, here's a very dramatic ending. Never mind, that's not what happened. Like, this one, they do a great job going, like, nope, that's what happened, but this is why it's okay. And it's, like, with a wink and a nod, and it's still fun.
Right.
And, like, I think if this episode wasn't such a dramatic ending, that wouldn't work.
Yes. And I do think that, like, the biggest thing that I want to make as a point to this is not that the show itself is doing a bad job in any way. It's mostly just because the way we consume television has changed. You end up with weird moments like this, like what Graham's saying, where you're watching it and all of a sudden the next one pops up. It's like, oh, okay, so the thing does continue. But if you were watching this when it came out, you were watching it basically on cable, probably late at night, and then that's the ending, and then you have to wait 2+ years for the next one to come out.
Is that how long it was?
Like,
it was a while.
I think this was 2006, and then season 2 is 2008. I think
2004 to 2006.
2004. Okay, so I've got okay, but 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah. And that's a long time. And there are a lot of like hints as to what could be. There's a lot of hints as to like a lot of stuff, but I think that is a big impact. I mean, but it's similar because all of us have had similar impacts with this show. I think all of us watched season 3 when it came out, and I'm not going to spoil anything of what happens in season 3, but season 3 also has a dramatic ending. Most of the finales for seasons for the Venture Brothers have an ending that changes the future of the show.
Yeah.
And it's a legitimate change to the future of the show. It's not like what Brian's saying with the CW. It's not kind of like a retconning sort of thing that happens with comics. It's like a legitimate, hardcore shift in the show.
Yeah. And actually, some of those later ones, I think, are more effective to me, at least as I was watching them, because I didn't start watching this show the moment it came out. It took me a couple of years to be like, oh, people are talking about this Venture Brothers thing, and then I started watching it. And so I think for the people who watched this from the very beginning, this was their first huge impact. And then after it got more views, more seasons, more people watching it, and a bigger audience, I think the later endings, like you're saying, and in season 2 and 3 and so on, those had more of an impact, or a more memory of an impact, just because more people were watching them. More people were watching them as they were being released.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel like we've kind of hit this one pretty well, and we haven't really talked about the new character who enters this show, and he's a main character.
Yes.
For a majority of the show, all the way up through season 6 of JJ, Uncle JJ,
with his weird arm.
With his weird arm. What do you guys think? Like, I was watching this with my wife, who has requested to be on an episode of this at some point, so she will be joining us. I don't know when, but at some point, I'll find an episode she wants to talk about. And when we were watching it, she's like, "This doesn't feel like him at all."
Yes.
And I don't care. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, I agree with you. This does not feel like Jonas Venture Jr. at all. But this is also right when he came out of his brother's body. Like, he's not going to be pure Jonas Venture yet.
Yeah. But I still
Yeah.
feel like elements of his character are still there. Like, I don't know.
He's still
It's-
way smarter than his brother. He's able to build a
Yes.
death robot within seconds. Like, he's
Yeah.
still the superior twin brother. But beyond that, like, I agree. It doesn't really feel like him to me.
I'm going to make a pretty impromptu argument, which I agree with. It does not feel like him, but I think it's purposeful. Because if you look at ignoring his obvious talent and that he's obviously the superior of the two Venture brothers, original Venture brothers, I guess. I don't know how you'd want to classify it. His defining trait, I think, is his kindness, right?
I would say his cockiness, but that's me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay,
it's somewhere in between there. It's his
Yeah.
kindness, but his cockiness about being kindness type thing. It's like there's something in there.
Well, okay. So we'll table that for later because this is fascinating. But very clearly, his confidence shines through in this episode, but his kindness doesn't.
Yeah.
I think his kindness comes from his first moments of being like walking around on this earth, like outside of his brother, are these moments of vengeance and hatred. And then he has shown kindness from his brother in a rare sort of moment for Rusty. And I think that because of that, he has a tonal shift in how he's going to approach life.
Yes, I totally agree with that.
Yeah,
I think that shifts his character at that moment of like, oh yeah, Brok could have easily killed me in this moment, and the only person who saved me was my brother, who I was just trying to kill. And by him showing me this kindness, okay, this is different, and then moves from there.
Yeah, I would
totally agree with that.
That makes sense to me. But like, yeah.
But it is a shift.
It is a big shift, and especially. I mean, he's a main character, but he's not in every episode. He usually pumps up a couple of times a season, but it is interesting that you say he's defined by his kindness, because I never see him as a particularly kind person, with the exception of Sally and her family. Beyond that,
he's really
always
generous.
feels like he's out for the world in the way of, like, an entrepreneur is out for the world of, like, I'm out because it makes me look good. And that's what I've always kind of gotten from him.
But he still has all of his humanitarian stuff too, though.
Exactly.
So, which is like, his care and generosity, but that could be tied up with his vanity for just like, look how good I am. But still, again, it's one of those things of like, is he kind, or is he, malicious, or is he,
But that's But I think his vanity shows right in this episode when it's like, so what do I call you? Jonas Venture Jr. He names himself after his father right out of the gate. Like, he is a cocky little fucker.
Yeah, and he holds on that Junior for a while. What do I call you?
Yeah.
Jonas Venture Jr. Right?
Yeah.
It's like, you gonna finish that, buddy? Oh, okay, there you go.
Well, it's interesting because, like, I do think he just to add a few, because I agree with Sally. I do think that he gives the we talked about the pirate from the Ghost of Sargasso. He gives him a second chance,
but then mistreats him so bad that he gets hooked on the dart.
Does he get mistreated? Well, does he?
He hates him by the end.
We're leading pretty far.
Away
from this.
Well, okay. I think you're right. He definitely is pretty vain, and he's definitely confident. I might be eating my words in the future because I'm for some reason remembering him as being very kind, but maybe that's wrong.
Yeah, me too. But he still has his dark moments. I think.
Yes.
I think we just need to leave it at he's still developing as a character. He definitely has vain moments, and he definitely has generous moments too. Whether they are definitely intrinsically linked. But yeah, when we know more about him as a character in future seasons, I think we can make a better character assassination.
I will end with this. Everything we just said is true about Jonas Venture Jr., and I think it's probably true of Jonas Venture.
And Rusty.
Agreed.
Rusty, no, he's not a kind guy.
No,
but I'm not saying he's kind. He can't have a generous moment like he does in this episode. But to say that he is vain.
Oh,
and
yeah,
he definitely cares about what other people think of him, and when that happens, then he can trigger that generous bone to be like, oh, if I'm generous in this moment, this can benefit me in some way.
Sure, I could see the relation, but I'd say
It's
not nearly as
different.
much as the dad or
Yes.
the brother. Yeah.
Yes, totally.
All right. Do we want to move into favorite moments on this thing?
Yeah,
I'll take that as a yes. I'm gonna go first. My favorite moment is right. It's got to be like, and I know you guys might disagree with me, but I think the best moment is right after they remove the tumor and the doctor comes up because I have good news and bad news. The operation was a success, but we lost the tumor. It's just like, it's such a great moment of like, the bad news is we lost your tumor. Who would fucking care? Like, it's the first time that I'm like, Rusty is right on point with this. Because you don't know that it's an evil, like, twin you ate in utero. You just assume
Exactly.
they lost a cancerous blob. Like, I don't give a shit. You're an idiot. I'm fucking out of here. Yeah. Totally agree with Rusty, and I love the chances where I can agree with Rusty.
Yeah. And I loved how he went to, oh god, it's the big C.
Yeah.
You did and then turns to Brok. He's like, you did this to me, you monster, with your secondhand smoking. It's like, are you sure it wasn't all of the experiments over your entire life? It was you're saying it was Brok, secondhand smoke, that gave you cancer. Certainly not the 42 years of you being in this crazy super science lifestyle. No, it's definitely
or his diet pills.
Yeah. Definitely the secondhand smoke. You got it, Rusty. You're a fucking scientist.
Oh,
Oof.
Good shit. Good
Yep.
shit. All right, next.
All right, I have to bring this up. It's not my favorite. It has my favorite moment in it, but I didn't love the sequence. We didn't talk about the prison at all, but I feel like just mentioning it gives it its due. And then that's it. But I do love when the Monarch realizes that he's been talking shit to Dean, because he's like so in character, I guess. Like, he's so method that he doesn't realize that it's Dean. And he's like, oh shit, it's Dean Venture. And he's like, hold on, I have to buy you back from King.
Gorilla.
And he's just like, yeah, King Gorilla. And he's just like, here, I'll give you the cigarette back. And King Gorilla's like, fuck you, give me $1. That's it.
Oh, that's a great one.
Thank you.
That whole sequence, you know, when he's like, this place is full of animals. And I don't mean King Gorilla.
Yes.
You're like, this place will chew you up and spit you out. And they look at me like, I don't mean Mecha Mouth.
Yeah.
My favorite moments is just all of Dr. O with the guys.
Yes.
Just how he enters. He's like, who wants pizza rolls? I forgot what the one he was like, you princes of sleepover, it's slumber parties, and it's like, oh man, what a perfectly terrible father figure to have at your sleepover.
He's pretty bad.
He's the best worst dad though. Like,
Yes.
Yes.
That's what I'm
Like-
saying. He's the best worst. Like, I would
Yeah.
hate it as a kid, but then looking back, you're like, oh man, wasn't that great?
yeah, my dad was awesome. I
Yeah.
hated him, but he was such a good dad.
It's interesting because, like, just to do a brief aside on Dr. O, because I did write this down. I think he is the best of the fathers in the show, though I don't think he's a good father, because he's a
Sure,
it's
yeah.
weird. He is the best in the show, though.
Certainly.
But he's too hands off, and you can see it with Triana and how that doesn't work. Like, he's the complete contrast to Rusty. Rusty's way too hands on at some times, and then cavalier when he shouldn't be at others. Well,
he can
Dr. O is just like, let them go ahead. They need to have like that kind of moment to like have freedom again, and you're like, that's a good dad moment. But
Yeah.
then that also has blown up literally in his face with what ends up happening to the boys.
Yeah.
She is at an electronic music recital.
Smelling oddly of clothes.
Oh, I see that you
Pumpkin,
have woken up early and changed out of your pajamas into the clothes you were wearing last night. How frugal of you.
I love him. All right. Well, I would say that brings us to the end of season 1. we have some housekeeping to do here at the end of season 1. Much like I promised in the last episode, we are changing things a little bit. I had said that we are all going to give our own order. That appeared to take way too fucking long, so we collectively made our own order for the entire season, and there will be an episode coming out if you want to hear how we came to that order. And I think that was, it was fun. I hope it's interesting.
It's super exciting.
Yeah.
Riveting stuff.
Yep.
There's a lot of bleeps because I liked bleeping in last week's episode. So now
Bleep,
whenever I can find a good opportunity to say, I will. But first, before we do that, I want to do the other thing that we promised, which is each of us is going to give our top 5 season 1 episodes. I can go first if you guys need to take a minute to collect yours.
Oh, yeah. I can do this.
I didn't remember that part.
That's okay. So Graham will go last. Nick, are you ready to do this? Can you do it right off the top of your head?
Oh, I can do it right away.
Go for it.
Okay. I would say Tag Seal, You're It.
Ooh.
Ghost of the Sargasso.
Are you going to give a number of order that these are going in, or just list them all?
Are you
Okay.
doing?
Yeah, for sure.
1 to 5.
Tag Seal, You're It would be 5.
Okay.
Oh,
I would say Ghost of the Sargasso would be 4. I would say Careers in Science would be 3. Are You There, God? It's Me, Dean would be 2, and Trial of the Monarch would be number 1.
Okay, that's a solid list. Mine's gonna be a little different. My number 5, I would, I'd go Tag Seal, You're It as well. Number 4, I'd go Ice Station Impossible, just because I fucking love Fantastic Four. Number 3, I'd go Careers in Science. Number 2, this is tough. What the hell would I say number 2? Number 2, Are You There, God? It's Me, Dean. Number 1, Trial of the Monarch. So I wasn't that far off from you. That's pretty close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't give any love to Ice Station Impossible, but I'm just a Fantastic Four nerd.
Yeah.
And
it would probably be between 6 and 8 for me.
I was the only one that I wish I could have found a place for. I mean, I guess I could have. It's up to me, really. Would just be Home and Security. And it's just, if the B story was the whole episode, that'd be like my number 1. Because fucking Brock, Steve Summers, and Sasquatch is some of the funniest shit in the entire first season. But all the Gardo stuff I just kind of don't care about.
Yep.
Graham, can you do it?
I can. So I'm going to go with Past Tense as number 5. Midlife Chrysalis as number 4. Are You There, God? It's Me, Dean as number 3. Tag Seal, You're It as number 2. And then Trial of the Monarch is number 1.
Wow. We all agree on 1 and 2.
Yep.
I mean, those
They're
are the
pretty
best
fucking
episodes.
solid.
Yeah, those episodes are... The Trial of the Monarch would be high up in my list of the entire run of the show.
Yeah.
Like, it's such a good episode.
There's a...
It's... Yeah.
It's just unbelievable how it was like, oh, we've now hit on what the format should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, with just, like, how ridiculous it needs to be, with understanding what their craft is. They've already understood what the show is, and then to be able to that opening of that episode of just like, wait, what's happening? Why does everything look all different and weird and so polished? And oh, okay, I get it. Like, it's an incredible episode, just from beginning to end. Beautiful.
So good.
Yes.
But here we go. If you want to watch Venture Brothers Season 1, the Venture Brothers podcast order, this is it.
The correct order.
This
is it. This is the viewing order.
This is the official Venture Bros viewing order that we have not tested, and we might be wrong about, but we are dead confident about it.
Right now. For the moment.
So, episode 0, which you can skip. Terrible Secrets of Turtle Bay. Fuck it. I don't like the episode. I've been very vocal about it. It'd be a DVD extra. You don't have to watch it.
Yeah.
So moving forward, we have Careers in Science, Dia de los Dangerous, The Incredible Mr. Brisby, Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Magic, Are You There, God? It's Me, Dean, Tag Sil, You're It, Ghost of Sargasso, Midlife Chrysalis, Ice Station Impossible, A Very Venture Christmas, an episode that we will release much later in the year, probably around Christmas time, Home Insecurity, Past Tense, The Trial of the Monarch, and Return to Spider Skull Island. That's it. We've debated. We talked. It took about half an hour. That episode comes out later if you want to see how we came up with that. But I think we did a pretty good job discussing the ins and outs and why that is the right way to do it.
Yeah.
Unless we missed anything and we were wrong.
But I think it actually, I mean, as you'll discover if you listen to that episode. But yeah, it fixes some of the errors, at least, that we've found in the multiple orders that have been released. It fixes some of the errors of just like, wait, what? No, this character hasn't been introduced or was already introduced, and they're acting like it's a new character. What's happening?
This person should know this person, and like, I think that was our major concern, and I think we did a good job with that. But listen to the episode, watch it in this order if you feel like it, tell us what you think. And if you want to actually do that, be sure to either reply to this episode on our ATH pod, leave a comment, let us know if you think we're out of our minds, and then, rate and review us on iTunes. That would be really helpful as we're growing and expanding and loving, and there's more of you listening every week, and we love having you here. So send us a review. We really appreciate it. It helps us get higher up in those ranks, and as Venture Brothers are popular while they're on the air, we could be popular too. Any other plugs we want to do this week, or are we just plugging ourselves? I just want to plug myself.
Hey man, whatever you want to do with yourself, that's
on you. Take one of you to reply to that.
I was trying to think of, can I make the joke that I want to make? And I was like, I don't want to.
Do whatever you want.
I mean, there's certain things you could buy at certain stores that I'm sure would help with the plugs, but that's Graham's face.
That's just a personal decision. That's on you, and no judgment.
Whatever floats your boat or plugs your boat, either one.
Well, I'm gonna plug my boat, and check us out. The show that you're already listening to. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your lovers, tell your affair havers, and your monkeys. Tell your monkeys.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.